Hello and welcome to the second video in a series of conflict of interest training videos for Casa Grande Union High School District under Board Policy GBEAA. So in this set of videos, or in this video, we're going to talk about why this training is required, and it's required annual training on conflict of interest, and it is a state requirement, again, by Board Policy GBEAA, and it pertains to the business of the district, vendor relations, and district purchases from employees. Business conflict of interest occurs when a school district employee or a board member has an undisclosed personal or monetary interest in a matter that could influence their decision making. For example, if your brother has a t-shirt company and the club you are sponsoring is looking to purchase t-shirts, your interest in your brother's company could cause conflict with your professional duties. So what does that mean to you? Any employee who has or whose relative has a substantial interest in any decision the district shall make it known that this interest exists in an official record of the district. And there is a form that you would fill out, and we will go over that near the end of this training. And that employee shall also refrain from participating in any manner as an employee in such decisions. So this includes any discussing of goods and services, planning the purchase of, attending any meetings related to submitting a requisition, approving a purchase order, overseeing the work performed by a vendor, or authorizing the payment. Of course, any of these things and more, but all aspects of the process. So let's see, what is considered a substantial interest versus a remote interest. So a substantial interest means any, monetary or ownership interest, either direct or indirect, other than a remote interest. And what a remote interest is, it's a very small, indirect, or insignificant personal connection to a matter that could potentially influence a decision, but is unlikely to significantly bias someone's judgment or action. So although a remote interest might not necessarily be considered a serious conflict of interest, it's still important to disclose your connection, and this will help you avoid that perception of bias. So remote interests, the exceptions for Arizona revised statute are listed under 38-502-10. And the following are considered remote interest and would not prohibit the public office or official relative employee from being involved in the decision, contract purchase, or sale of services. So, for example, in this scenario, a public school board member, when if the relative is not a dependent or a spouse, okay? And there's other really specifics here, non-salary employee of a nonprofit, and you can go ahead and take a look at those. But who's considered a relative? So you can see a spouse or a child is considered a direct relative to a public employee. And then, of course, you can see all these other relatives, but, most of the statute is related to spouse or child. So let's go ahead and take a closer look to the revised statute 38-503. So any public officer or employee who has or whose relative has a substantial interest in any contract, sale, purchase, or service to such public agency shall make known that interest in the official records of such policy or public agency, and shall refrain from voting upon or otherwise participating in any manner as an officer or employee in such contract, sale, or purchase. And it also goes to state that any public officer or employee who has or whose relative has a substantial interest in any decision of a public agency shall make known such interest in the official records of such public agency, and shall refrain from participating in any manner as an officer or employee in such decision. So really just make sure that you're making it known, official record, if any of these things that we've been talking about would possibly pertain to you or anyone in your family. So vendor relation, conflict of interest. So a district employee cannot accept gifts from anyone who has done or desires to do business with the district. And that is, person, group, entity, things that, for example, that are not included in this would be if you go to a workshop and you're given food or beverage, or there's a some swag, a nominal value, like you get a greeting card or a T-shirt, mug, pen, squishy ball from a company, unless it is of great value. Any of these little marketing type swag, it doesn't relate to this. It's just those bigger value items, which we will talk about here in a second. So those bigger value items are things, again, bigger than swag or, a beverage or, cookies or something sent to you from a vendor, would include or be included or spelled out for you in Arizona Revised Statute 15213 N and O. So the first part is about the district accepting gifts. So again, any person in the district accepting gifts could possibly be guilty of a Class 6 felony if those gifts are over $300. And any personal gifts or benefits that are valued less than $300 is a Class 1 misdemeanor. And then the second section of the revised statute pertains to vendors who are offering gifts. So the vendor is also in the same boat for penalties. If the gift is over $300, then that is a Class 6 felony, and if it's under $300, it's a Class 1 misdemeanor. So these revised statutes, a link to the revised statutes will be in the main part of the vector training, so that if you want to go and take a deep dive, you can do that. So the district must comply with competitive purchasing rules for any acquisition or goods and services from district employees, regardless of the dollar amount. So it doesn't matter if it's $1, it doesn't matter if it's $7,000. If we're dealing with an employee or a direct connection with the district must comply with competitive purchasing rules for any acquisition. The district may acquire equipment, materials, supplies, or services from its employees only under an award or contract let after public competitive bidding. The requirement applies to any purchases during using district monies. This would include extracurricular activities, fees, tax credit contributions, monies held in trust by the district, such as student activity monies. Quotes don't satisfy the public competitive bidding. We need more than quotes in those situations. And then lastly, for this video and section, we want to look at the Arizona Revised Statute 38503C. And this speaks to the provisions of subsequents A and B of the section. No public officer or employee of a public agency shall supply to such public agency equipment, materials, supplies, or services unless pursuant to an award or contract let after public competitive bidding. So again, that competitive bidding process is imperative if we're dealing with a employee of the district or someone that's directly related to them. Thank you for participating in watching this video. We will have one other video and then a short Q&A at the end. If you have any further questions as we're going through this, please reach out to Human Resources for Casa Grande Union High School District number 82.